Hello, welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy this video. Today's video is about how we do our recordings at the church and the reasons why we do some of the things we do. It started out as basically a video about some new equipment we got, and then one of the other members of the communications ministry at the church stopped by, and we ended up in a conversation about some of the things we do and why we do them, how we do them, and it turned out to be pretty interesting, so I just ran with that video. The video, you have to excuse some of the framing in the video. It's not very good. My head gets cut off sometimes. The other person is not in camera very long, but you can hear the conversation. And I thought it was a pretty interesting conversation about what we do and how we do it. One thing I do want to mention, we talked about the limitations of DSLR cameras and the fact that they can only record for 30 minutes or less. Well, that limitation actually has gone away. That was a European Union tariff tax thing, and as of 2019 actually it went away, but there wasn't any big fanfare about it, so it kind of slipped under the radar. But newer DSLR cameras can actually record for more than 30 minutes, and what actually made me research it and figure it out is because I was recording on a DSLR and it picked up the whole recording, and the recording actually is, I'm not going to replay the whole recording, but it lasted for more than a half an hour. I thought the camera had automatically cut off, and we were sitting there still having our conversation, and it recorded the whole thing. So I did some research and found out that actually at the end of 2018, 2019, beginning of 2019, that law was phased out so that newer DSLR cameras will record for more than a half an hour. It was more of a hardware thing, so I'm assuming, well, Panasonic already made some DSLRs that would record for more than a half an hour. So, and my DSLR is a Panasonic, so I'm assuming that's what it is. And I just didn't realize it because all the information that I had gotten up to that point when I first got the camera was that it would not record for more than a half an hour. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility in choosing cameras. Now you don't have to worry about, well, you still have to worry about it because some of the older cameras still don't do it. Even some of the newer cameras still don't do it because they haven't changed their production to just all cameras being able to record. So you have to watch out for that and keep that in mind, that if you get a newer camera, make sure it's one of the cameras that will record for more than 30 minutes. Now, the other problem with my DSLR is that it does not put an output to my computer and record at the same time. My camcorders do, so that's still an advantage that the camcorders have over my DSLR. So even though it will record for more than 30 minutes, I can't get backup footage off of that as far as recording to the camera and recording to the computer at the same time. It does not allow me to do that. So with that said, that's all the caveats out of the way. Enjoy the video. All right, we got some new equipment here at the church today. It's kind of dark in here. All the only lights I have are the lights from the balcony. The church lights aren't on. And as you can see, it's kind of quiet in here. And we got some new equipment. Nothing spectacular, but the church has purchased their own camera, which is exciting because the amount of equipment that I have to bring with me every Sunday is reduced dramatically. Somebody told me the other day, not the other day, a couple of Sundays ago, that I look like a pack mule carrying the bags in on Sunday, because I got it down to where it doesn't take a whole lot, but it's 2 big camera bags worth of equipment, because I have 2 cameras plus the equipment for the audio and cables and everything else. So these are the 2 big bags of gear that I used to have to carry to church every Sunday, and now I will only have to carry the 1 bag on the right. I had a camera that this camera that I was donating. I donated to the church basically, so it can stay here and have a camera here, but getting sound into the camera, this is one of the, it's a very good camera. It does shoot 1080, but it does not have a mic port. It couldn't be our main camera. So we just bought this Panasonic, the HC-V77. This also is 1080. The cameras that we use presently are 4K, but we never shoot in 4K. Those are my cameras, and I own a production company, and we do other things besides shoot at the church. I volunteer as part of the communications ministry to shoot video for the church. So now the church has their own camera that's capable of having input from the microphone. And we also bought a cage for the camera so that we can have a cage for it, similar to what I use. The cages are not necessarily a necessity, but I like them because they take stress off of the connections that go into the camera, especially for like when you're using HDMI cables. They keep the cables from popping out because you connect them to the cage instead of just the. You can come in. I'm just recording our upgrade. A lot easier. Somebody said I look like a pack. I think it was you that I look like a pack mule.
Yes.
My stuff in every Sunday, so I don't have to have that problem anymore.
They said that the second
Cage
was coming today, but didn't say it was out for delivery yet. So
that's all right. The second cage isn't as important as the first cage.
Yes.
Because the first cage is the one that I put the, that's the one that mounts, even when I bring my other cage on Sundays, it doesn't have these up here because I don't have to mount the, that cage is the one that the Zoom gets mounted into.
Gotcha.
For the sound.
Gotcha.
But this one doesn't, so it really does not make that much of a difference. And that's what I was just talking about in the camera. I I like the cages. The cages are not necessarily a necessity, but there's SDI cables and HDMI cables. SDI cables, which I use when we do the concerts and stuff, so I can have a longer reach, longer run. They can go up to 300 feet. But the thing about them is the connectors lock into the camera and they lock into the board. HDMI don't.
Right.
But with the cage, I just took them all off. I can attach everything to the, I Velcro all the straps so that they're actually attached. It's less stress on the, camera.
Right. Right. I got you.
And the connectors can't just get pulled out.
Right. Yeah, because that cage is going to be stationary, if you were going to be using that and moving it, you would want to reverse that so you could have, so the grips would be, so you can actually turn it. See how the grips are now?
Yeah, actually,
I think you
I'm
can
not
actually,
going to do it today, but I actually had to turn all of these grips around.
that's what I thought when I was
Yeah.
looking at it. I said it didn't feel right.
Yeah, I turned these grips around. The way it is now, this will work on a DSLR camera. It's not actually made for video cameras.
Right.
So I have to turn it this way so that the viewfinder will open up on the video camera.
Gotcha.
So I just usually just turn the grips around.
Right.
It really doesn't make a difference today because it's on a cage.
And even if you have the monitor, like with my camera, I have the view, or I can use the eyepiece.
Yeah.
Now, if I put it on the cage and left the viewfinder closed, and then put a monitor on, I would still see
Yeah.
through the monitor.
It would still work, but the mount is not centered.
Right.
So if I turn it around the other way, this is in your picture when you put the camera on. So that's the only problem. Other than that, it's fine. Only we put these.
And that's the only drawback to the cage, is either one is off center as far as the mount.
No, yeah, but it's because of the way the batteries and stuff fit. Because see, like on here, the batteries and stuff and the SD card is on this side.
It's really made for a camera.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
I got you.
But for what we do, that's the difference between cameras are made for shooting pictures,
Yeah.
and they can also record.
30 minutes.
Right. Video cameras are made for shooting video. And if you're going to do anything where you're going to shoot video for more than 30 minutes, you need a camcorder.
That's why I went to the camera.
Yeah, you need the camcorder. Because the
Now
camera,
I see now why that cage is designed the way it is.
Yeah.
It makes sense for a camera.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
and it's not a hard job to turn the handles around, but I don't know if I have one of these might work.
I tell you, when I looked at it, hold on, look at the top. I thought it was,
Yeah, and then I have to unloosen it down.
oh, you still have to take it, oh,
I
okay.
just gotta loosen it so I can turn it around.
Oh, it's just turned.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to take the whole thing.
No, I'm not
Didn't
taking
even think about that part. Loose from the bottom and the top just turn.
Yeah.
See, that's why I came up here to see how you're gonna handle that, so I ordered one for myself. I know what to do. And it's no good without the shoes to be able to mount stuff to it. When I looked at it, I said, okay, that's what this is. Mounting shoes.
Well, I'll worry about that later because I have a better,
So that's how you would do it?
Yeah.
Just from the top and the bottom, just turn the handles.
I have longer Allen wrenches so I can get a better grip.
Grip on it.
That little Allen wrench does not want to turn it.
especially the way that's been put in there, it made sure it wasn't turned.
Yeah.
It needs some leverage.
And these are just the hot shoe mounts. They don't, you know what hot shoe mounts are. I mean, not hot, these are not hot, these are cold shoe mounts, but these are the shoe mounts. And unfortunately, they don't sell the cages with the mounts already.
But wouldn't that, this is kind of like more of a universal.
Yes, that's why they don't sell it with it. You can do all kinds of,
Suit, you make it to suit your taste.
yeah, because like, none of it, you can see none of this
None of
stuff.
that would have been.
Yeah, comes on.
Got it.
This is what I use, and I got a couple of these coming for these cages. This is what I use to mount the monitors on. This is what I use to mount the Zoom sound on. And this is what I use to mount when we do the concerts and stuff, and I use the SDI cables. All of my cameras are HDMI, so I have a converter that converts the signal from HDMI to SDI, and I put it on here, so that way you can get up to 300 feet away, which would, I haven't purchased any of those cables because they're kind of expensive, but if we had 300-foot cables, I could sit up here and put a camera, they could walk all the way around this church with a camera, with a cable on. But these mounts, that's actually where I want that because I haven't turned it around yet. And I put one on this side for the time. And this way Sunday, when we get everything will be already hooked up other than the computer and the sound, and I just do that when I get up here. But I can turn the camera on and don't miss anything. Like I did the last time we had a men's meeting.
And it's better to have like that swivel mount for your shoe to give you flexibility with regards to how you want to position something as opposed
Yeah, because I can tilt it up and down. I can, and it's, especially with, I have this on there because I don't want, when I put the Zoom, the mini mixing board on it, I don't want it laying flat because it's up here and it will be laying flat. I'm not as tall as you. So I would have a hard time.
No, you know,
seeing.
actually, this is the thing, the little things that you compensate for.
Right.
Because I was at a church Wednesday, St. Barbara's out in West Philly. The school is St. Rose of Lima, but I know the pastor. They're under the jurisdiction of St. Barbara's Church. Mm-hmm. And he did a mass for the opening day for school. They're going to put on their online when they have classes next Wednesday. So I'm doing the mass, getting ready to photograph, video the mass. And they had a pianist that was sitting over here where I positioned myself. And I knew him from seeing him someplace before, I just didn't remember his name, but I was saying that I purposely was at where I was at because I didn't want to get the musician, whoever was going to be, in the picture. I wanted to focus on the altar. He said, that's fine, I didn't want to be in the picture anyway. So I said, he said, that worked great. But then I had the camera set high, to this highest point. And as I'm looking, I said, I have to stand all this time. Now, that wouldn't be comfortable for me. Then I said, but also the angle is such that it would look like, and that's what I was telling him. I said, one of the problems that I have when I'm taking a picture, if I'm standing up and shooting it, you're going to get a slightly downward angle. Whereas suppose if I sat, I'm right eye to eye. So you'll never know how tall or how short the person is. I said, that's what I do to compensate. And I remember I learned that lesson years ago. I was using a film camera, and I was at a flower show. I'm standing there taking a picture, and somebody walked in front of me. And I felt them. I didn't realize they were there because they were so short. They passed underneath the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped. She said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I said, "Why? How did he just see you?" She said, "Yeah." And then she told me about her brother. She said her brother's tall. And so they can always tell the pictures that he takes because
Right.
they look like they're looking down.
Right.
And I remembered that and I said, "Oh, never thought about that before that."
And that's also one of the reasons why I use the monitors, because there's sometimes when somebody tall like you is better for shooting, because like when they do the not the communion, but the baptisms and stuff, because you stand over everybody,
Right.
you can get a good shot.
Exactly.
So one of the reasons I use the monitors, even if I have to use a pole, I can put my
You can
monitor
still
down
see what
here
you're- right.
and
And
put
you can still
and I can
see what
see
you're
what
looking
I'm
at.
looking
Makes you-
at.
Good point.
And I can adjust those monitors
Good
and move
point.
them around. Because trying to look through this little screen.
And that's getting annoying for me with regards to mine because my thing is if I'm sitting this close to it, I need to take my glasses off.
Right.
But then when I look up to look at what I'm looking at through the small screen, it's blurred.
Right.
So I'm focusing on the small camera and I'm like, I want to see the big picture too. I said I'm going to just go ahead and get the monitor and use that and I can sit back, leave my glasses on, and be able to see better.
Yeah, that monitor makes it just makes a big difference when you're trying to frame.
And I watched how it's working on yours. I see that. And when I was online with Amazon, they pop up suggestions on things to get. LED light kit, 2 lights, stands, bags, like $159.
Oh yeah, they have a good one.
I'm like,
This brand is the same as these. I kind of like their equipment. There's probably other ones that are just as good. What I've been buying these, and their stuff is actually
and that's good for camera. That's good in light, just to use for a camera.
yeah.
Yeah.
Their stuff is actually. I've only had one thing that I got from them that I didn't like to. Oh, that's this fluid head. It works
nice
very
one.
good, but it doesn't. I have another more expensive fluid head, and it doesn't work as well as that. Because this one, it moves nice and fluid, and it holds it, and I don't have to be locking it
Right.
like that. That doesn't work as well.
Gotcha.
But sometimes I have to give it a little nudge. It doesn't. The fine adjustments aren't as good
Okay.
as the other one.
Okay.
But I like their equipment because it's all sturdy, it's all good, and I haven't had any problems out of it. And it looks and feels just like the more expensive stuff because I have a guy I used to work for. He's into YouTube and he buys a lot of Manfrotto stuff, and their stuff is really good.
Oh yeah.
But
I know that brand.
this stuff feels and looks the same to me, and
cheap.
half the price.
Right.
So,
Cool. I like a nice camera.
yeah, and the only thing about them, and it's the same thing with the Manfrotto, but I've been discovering, especially with the fluid heads, the more they have some, but they're made for bigger cameras. But I want to get one of these days when I get a bigger camera. But they have some that are heavier, because one of the things, like this is the reason why I have this on a mount. This fluid head this particular one is so stiff that doesn't have enough weight that when I want to turn it wants to turn the whole thing.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
when mounted on here, it's fine.
Gotcha.
But that's one of the things I'm talking about with this versus the more expensive one. I don't remember what the brand is, but the more expensive one, it actually works on the same.
Yeah, because the tripod that I use for my camera, it is actually rated for much heavier.
Yeah, and yours is probably a little heavier too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I said, at some point in time, I'm gonna more than likely move up, and that was like a used, I think I got a used, and the price was too good. I said, make the investment because you're gonna need something better as time goes on.
Right.
So that, it was worth it. And that was because it's the mother.
And when we get it, the other cage is for this.
Oh, for that one, okay. And that's your secondary camera?
Yeah, this one, well, since you edited it, and I send all the videos to you, this is the one I will be using for the wide shot, and this is the one I use for the close shot. This is just so I can transition in and out so that when I move the camera, you don't have to see all of that.
Gotcha.
So
This one here is pretty much just
straight on.
straight on.
And
And you'll use that one to do your adjustment and then transition from this to
right. So when Father's talking, when he finishes and the choir starts to sing, I'll switch to this real quick and get a shot of it, and then swing over, get a good shot of the choir, and then
fade into that. Crossover. Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. I know I've done that with the editing where I'll record like the whole concert, and then like when the guys introduce the song or something, I'll cut and then just, in essence, cut from wherever he starts jibber-jabbering until the next musician picks up, and then just use a crossfade, and it just flows so that you cut out the unnecessary stuff. But making that crossfade it's easy on the eye. You don't even notice that the scene has changed because it changes smoothly as opposed to something abrupt, and it works. Little things you pick up in watching movies.
Yeah.
But you don't even notice it because you're not supposed to notice it.
And then, since there's not two of us up here, if I had a cameraman and the transitions would be a little bit better. Because like what I try to do when the people come up and I get the center shot so I can see it, get a good view, like especially when they meet in the middle. But I have it so when they get to a certain point, it just fades into this camera to make them close. Sometimes I'm a little late on those shots, but I'm trying to work both cameras and
So you act for what you need, what you want to do. A second person would be good to have.
yeah, but I'm not really worried about that right now because of the COVID-19. I don't mind being up here by
Okay,
myself.
I understand.
So, because Bill will probably do it. And I think when he gets the rest of his stuff, we'll probably have him come up here anyway, because so he can get used to doing it.
Yeah. Because he definitely has he wants to put the computer to use and learn, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, because he already bought the computer.
He was talking to you about some software.
Yeah, I sent him this information
Cool.
for the software. What the heck did I do to those GoPro straps? I hope I slammed down on the table so I ain't left them at the house. If I did this, it'll be all right. Plus, I don't have the cage
So I should be thinking about a fluid head mount for the camera itself, which is a little bit easier to.
Yeah, because this, to move it up and down, I gotta turn it, and you have to work the knobs and turn it.
Right.
And actually, I had it to a point where I could adjust them almost like a fluid head, give it enough tension so I could just leave it. But the fluid head, you don't
Just
have.
makes things so much
Yeah,
easier.
you just move it.
And it's especially if you have that cage, there's a lot more equipment there.
Yeah.
And any sudden, without the fluid head, you would get certain jerky movements.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
That makes sense. I'm looking at it, fantastic. Okay. So I know what I need to put on.
The cages are so much more, because they just allow you to do so much more. Because like this has the shoes for it, but you can only put one thing on, and then that's weight on the camera body. I just like the cages because you can attach more stuff, and I can actually kind of balance it out too.
Right. And I think too, with using a small camera like that, as opposed to a larger unit, that a lot of stuff gets attached to the camera itself, the camera can handle it. Because, yeah, it makes sense. It's just a lot easier. You can put your sound, your monitor, and still have a nice camera, and just add accessories to it.
Right.
Makes sense.
Because when we first started doing this, I was just using the camera like this. And then I didn't like, I noticed that sometimes what I was seeing in the viewfinder, it was just hard to, on that little screen, it's hard to tell your spatial whatever, I forget the actual term for it, but I couldn't tell if I was too close on somebody or not far enough away from them or
the perspective.
yeah.
Right, I understand. But that's the, what you're speaking about is when the person, when I would be taking a picture. And yes, it's something that, I don't know the proper terminology for it, but there's a way that you can make the picture look kind of out of whack.
Yeah, and it's just a lot easier getting things not even focused. They're in focus, but it just, I could see it better more how it would look on a larger screen, in a larger screen than trying to look at it in that little screen. Plus I wear glasses, so it just...
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. So when I saw that monitor thing, I said, I need to put that on my Christmas wish list. And now I'm gonna add the fluid head too. Things in time.
Yep, they're be careful when you buy the fluid head, because I actually had to, I don't know if I have a picture of it, but I actually had to buy, because a lot of the fluid heads are made for bigger cameras, and I actually had to buy an adapter so my fluid head would fit on my tripod, because I didn't have the right kind of tripod.
Okay. I got you. For the mounting instrument.
Yeah, so because see, they have ones like this that will actually mount. This would work on that.
Right.
And just like it works on here, but then they do have another one, and I didn't pay attention to that at the time, so I had to buy, it's like a little box that goes up on top of here that fits into here that I have to put the fluid head on. But actually, it looks kind of funny, but I actually like the way it ended up turning out, because it actually gave me a little bit more weight too, and it works well.
Gotcha.
So, but you have to pay attention to make sure you get the right.
The right head for the
Yeah.
tripod.
Yeah. Because I didn't know that at the time. And actually,
Some things are just too obvious to see at the time until after you say,
right when I got it, I was like, wait a minute, that's
and they're done that. And they're done that. That's quite the work to it.
well, we're almost done.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.